Welcome, my friends, to Room for Reflection TV. Today, we are going to talk about conscious parenting, something that is so dear to me and something I love talking about. Conscious parenting is a journey into another way of parenting where you meet your child heart to heart, soul to soul. And a good friend of mine is here with us today, Karen Shaw from the UK. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. It is a privilege to be here, and I am so looking forward to this, Geeta, because like you, everything you've said is so close to my heart as well.
Yes, and I have met Karen in our international group of light workers, and we've been lucky to be on the same stages a couple of times speaking about our favorite topic, conscious parenting. And I'm often standing, either have just been on stage or I'm coming after Karen is on stage, and I'm listening to her with big ears because I'm always resonating. What she says is always resonating so well in me, and I'm always like, yes, yes, good point, Karen. So when I thought about doing a TV show, a podcast on conscious parenting, you came to mind.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm very glad to hear it, because vice versa, it's the same for me. Everything that you say, I go, yes, yes, yes. We want more of this out there. It makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
It does. And that's why I have been following your book project for quite some time. And I've heard you say and whisper and say out loud, a book is coming, a book is coming. And now
It's here.
it's here.
It's really real.
I'm so happy for you.
And I've got mine always here.
Yeah. Parenting magic. And your approach to behavior and communication.
Yeah.
Conscious connection and confident parenting.
Yeah.
Because they go hand in hand, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I do think there are an awful lot of parents out there who are not confident at all in what they're doing or what will be the best thing to do or how they do things. So it's really important. Yeah. I just want to tell you that, I say parenting magic for two reasons.
Yes.
And that's because when I've worked with parents and they have put something into practice, they say, oh, it worked like magic. So it's, I hear that often. And then the other thing I want us all to remember is that we are parenting magic. The children are the magic. And that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're parenting them. And I think we are definitely in a new paradigm of parenting, what parenting means.
Yeah, and I so agree, because, as you know, I have written this book, The Children's Meditations in My Heart. And sometimes I get a letter from a parent and they would say, your book is magical. And of course, I love that. But I always tend to say, no, well, I love that you love the book. But what is really magical is the shift in your energy when you use the book to tuck your child in for bedtime. My book is usually used to help children to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So it's the shift in the energy that is magical.
It is, but how important is energy? Yeah. That's it, isn't it? The energy.
I know you know a lot about energy. And before we dig into this whole subject, I would love for you to give us a short introduction to who you are, Karen.
Okay, a short introduction is that I am a mom of 3 incredible young men, and I work with parents so that they can really connect in a conscious and a confident way with the children. And so the label I use is a transformational life and parenting empowerment coach, emotional rebalancing and energy alignment therapist.
Because you are also part of the EAM family, and was one of the first instructors with Yvette Taylor to teach the EAM method. So
one of the first in the world to go through this incredible sort of methodology and be accredited to go out and share it. Yeah, so an EAM mentor as well, which just works beautifully with parents.
So tell us about conscious parenting. What is it for those who think that's just another way of parenting? What is conscious parenting to you?
I love that question, because I didn't know about it at all when my boys were little. I had this idea of consciousness, Geeta, and I just thought, if you're awake, like I am now, I am fully conscious. If I'm, hit over the head, knocked out under anaesthetic or asleep, I'm unconscious. Well, then I started to realize that even in this state of consciousness, so much more of me is unconscious. I'm not breathing me. I'm not flowing the blood around the body. I'm not thinking about which muscles to use. So we know that Freud's analogy of the mountain, tiny bit at the top conscious and so much more underneath at the unconscious level. And I think in parenting, a lot of parents will say to me that they are conscious parents because they are thinking of their children. They are being kind, accepting, putting themselves in the shoes of the child. And that's great. That is being very conscious, being aware of what you are doing. What I also know is that there's so much more going on in us at a deeper unconscious level that we don't know that we're affecting our children with. And for me, this, one of the big things is language.
Yes.
We think we're very conscious, but we're actually unconsciously sending out signals, instructions, messages that we don't want them to hear. We are doing that with our language, and we are also doing it with our body, because our body and our energetic field is one of the biggest communicators. So we can't ever not be communicating. So I think, what did you say conscious parenting was? A journey. Yeah. And I say it's a process, and it is continuous. And, we're never done, are we?
No.
We are all here on this journey, in this process. But being consciously aware of how we influence and impact our children is really important.
Yeah, and how do you think it's related to energy? Because now you know so much about energy as well.
Yeah.
And much of what we are not aware of is still in our energy field. So
yeah.
So if our children are replicating a pattern that we met when we were children, we can choose to be aware that it's doing something to us because of our story.
Yeah, I think I would start with, I do actually work with moms more than the dads. It seems to be the way it is at the moment.
Yeah.
And so a lot of moms don't realise that what they are thinking, what they are believing,
yes,
and how they're behaving is affecting the children. Because the very first thing we do when we have a thought is that we are sending out an electrical impulse, aren't we? We're sending out a signal. And if you have that thought over and over and over again, and it becomes a belief, it's a stronger signal. And that's affecting your child, even if you think it isn't. I was guilty of this, Geeta. After I got divorced and was in a really bad place, I would sit there thinking about the worry of not having a job, not having money, not having a partner, not knowing what I was going to do. And you also know that Eden was labelled on the autistic spectrum, the youngest one. And he would sit there and I would be silent. And he would just say to me, "What's wrong, Mummy?" And I'd say, nothing, I'm fine. And so the two things going on there, he was picking up my energy, wasn't he? He knew the vibration that I was emitting. He could tell that there was something not quite right. And then I was totally disrespectful by saying nothing. So that's where I started, and we do this a lot, or some parents do. We lie to our children.
Yeah.
And what I think the danger in that for me is that we then knock out of them their trust in their own intuition.
Oh, yeah. And that's a big one, right? Because we all know that we put on this smile and we drop them off at kindergarten, and our hearts are crying all the way out, and the kid is crying, and we are smiling. You're gonna be fine. Everything's all right. And they're like, I'm not buying that, because I can feel that you have this drama going on inside of you, right?
Exactly. And so that's a great point, isn't it? That we are confusing our children. We're confusing them by actions being opposite to what we're thinking, which is an energy, or a belief, or putting on this false front that they can see through. And so there's a confusion going on in them. If we could just be a little bit more honest, I don't mean we have to tell them the ins and outs of the situation, but the honesty in saying, I'm just not feeling that great today. Today's a day where I want to be quiet, or be as honest as we can without having to tell them too much that they don't need to know.
Yeah. And much of what I see when I'm with you and when I hear you on stage and when we are together at our gatherings is Karen Shaw has this big heart. Like she has so much love inside her tiny body. And you also have this wonderful way of hugging where you tell us about the heart hug.
The heart hug, left to left, where the other person's heart is, because if you can feel it, there's a connection there. How powerful is the heart? We know, don't we? Heart Math Institute do fantastic work, and the heart is 5,000 times more powerful in its electromagnetic field. That's incredible. And so if you are hugging someone on the left, I think you can feel it. It feels comfortable, it feels natural. And if you can hold it, be present, just be in that moment, be in that energy. It's a gorgeous feeling. As opposed to the right-sided hug, that feels so awkward to me now, to do that and miss someone's heart. And the other side, the other thing about that is that's the side where we do have liver and other organs that are the we want to detoxify and eliminate from there. It just feels a bit odd. It feels odd to me. And Geeta, it's like any habit, isn't it? The more you do it, one way, it's just ingrained. So I don't think I would ever go to hug anyone other than that way.
No. And when I was preparing for this interview this morning, my daughter was asking me, what are you doing today, Mom? And I said, well, I'm actually interviewing Karen Shaw. Do you remember her? And she said, is she the good hugger?
Oh, that's a nice reputation to have. I'm quite happy with that one. Yeah. Well, a long time ago, I actually became a hug ambassador when we used to go out and offer free hugs in city centres. Oh. Yeah. I'm not quite sure we could do that now.
No, I was just thinking about Corona and lack of hugging and how it affects me in many different ways, that I don't shake hands or hug the people who come to my house. Or my dad has his birthday today and I'm going to his party and I can't hug him, which is crazy, right? Because he's my dad and he has a birthday, but he is in what is the word in English when you're
compromised or shielding, is in the more vulnerable group.
Vulnerable. So yeah. I can't hug him, but it's just so wrong in my mind because I'm a hugger too, and I
but it's more than that, isn't it, Geeta? We know that we need touch and connection.
Yes.
And so it is actually doing something to the makeup of our bodies by depriving us of this.
It is. And the reason why I want to talk about love and hugging and tapping into our love and feeling into our love is because for me, because when we talk about conscious parenting, in many ways it can sound more complicated than it is. And for me, the easiest way to become more conscious is through the heart, through love. It's like love is the friend on the journey towards becoming more conscious in your parenting, because you can always ask love for advice. And the book I have written, The Children's Meditations in My Heart, is helping the parent tap into his or her heart at bedtime, and that makes them more conscious. So how, and I know you've written a lot about love as well in your book, so tell me about how you view love as a companion on the journey towards more conscious parenting.
I think I actually put in there, love is the answer, because it is, isn't it? It's there. It's when we talk about emotions, we know that emotions are just energy in motion,
Yes.
aren't they? They're
Yes.
just a vibration that they're moving at a certain frequency. And we know that love is 500 on a scale. Now, there are quite a few emotional scales, aren't there? You know, I know Yvette Taylor, who created the energy alignment method, has an emotional scale. Dr. David R. Hawkins has got one in, Power versus Force. Krista Marie Sheldon and Abraham Hicks have got a great emotional scale. So you can find one, you can write your own down. We all know most of the whole range of emotions. And so they're all at different frequencies. So if we can raise our vibration to that love, I want us there.
Yes.
And to me, I was going to say easy. Let me say it's simple. It might not always be easy. To think of a time you were, a place you go, a feeling you have, and then you are there. If you go there in the mind, you can be there in the body and you can feel it. Bedtime stories for me are fabulous because that was the time that I got chance to really connect with Eden, who was on the autistic spectrum, who couldn't read and couldn't do this and was just in. And so the other side of what we're talking about, or definitely in my book, is NLP,
Yes.
Neuro Linguistic Programming. And I know that that can be thought of as quite manipulative sometimes, and it can be. So it's a tool like anything else. In the right hands, it's healing. In the wrong hands, it's a weapon. A scalpel in a surgeon's hand will do good work. Mm-hmm. Somebody else could do harm with it. So for me, I learned about rapport, mm-hmm. about lying as close as I could to Eden in a mirror in position, be as comfortable as possible, and breathe. How important is breathing? It's just breathing, it's being present. And I do say that, you know, the greatest gift you can give your child is be present, isn't it? Be with them. And in that place, if you are feeling love, just be there. And that's how we connect, isn't it? Because that love's vibrating. We know that they can actually measure that electromagnetic field as well. So if your child is in your vicinity, close in, I'm going to say aura, because all the different measurements, the frequencies go out, are a different layer of our aura. And that's how, of course, we're fully conscious then, I think. We're aware.
And what happens to the parent-child relationship in your view when we are meeting them heart to heart or soul to soul, as I like to think of it as well?
I think it's the oneness that happens. It's the oneness that just feels there. And I suppose for me, the benefits of that, I would say, is that child knows love, feels love, then will trust you. And then the knock-on of that is then they will talk to you. And then, so the benefits are just knock-on effects, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think something happens in the respect we have for the child. So a lot of people tend to think that I'm the parent, I get to decide.
Yeah.
I'm the leader and my child has to follow me. Whereas when I meet my child heart to heart, bedtime or soul to soul, I get more curious to understand who my child is and what her gifts are and how I can help her bring her gifts to the world. So instead of just labeling me the parent and her the child, we become two souls on a journey together. And I really like that feeling of my child.
I think when I said oneness, I think that's what I meant about you are equal. Yes. in that time, and so there is no divide anymore. And I just love the Khalil Gibran poem from the Prophet that says, your children are not your children, they come through you, they are not of you. And that's sort of obvious to me, that, you know, you have been that vehicle that's allowed them to manifest as human beings. And a fantastic thing that I really love doing with parents, Geeta, is that because EAM can help you find out what you really believe in or what you're thinking. It can also find out the relationship between these two souls. Because my belief is it's a soul agreement. Your child hasn't just turned up randomly. There is a very good reason that they are here now. So we made an agreement, and part of that agreement is to learn from each other. So they're here to help us grow as much. And that's one of the things that I think parents, it's fantastic. If you are conscious and you become aware, you can realize that when your children are pushing your buttons or really, really triggering you, rather than rant and go off, it's to say, oh, hang on. Why is it that I am so triggered by this? So an example that happens quite often is the child is not listening. The child won't listen to me. I don't feel heard. So I invite parents to look at themselves and say, where else? Where else do you feel not heard, not listened to? Either in another relationship now, or as a child, or because I believe, in past lives, it can have been a past life energy.
Yeah.
If energy cannot be created or destroyed, and it always is, then our energy, even if the physical body isn't here, that energy is still somewhere. And that's what I believe happens. I think it comes through in different children, parts of energy from other places.
And so if we have a view, someone who's watching, having a lot of trouble with one or more children, and they are questioning, why did this happen to me? Why did I get a child like this? Why are we having all this trouble? Why is my child not listening to me? Why doesn't he want to go to school? Why? If we have a parent like that watching this, and I know there are many parents who are questioning the relationship in their families, maybe even more now because of COVID-19, and we have to be a lot together. So a lot of families are forced to be together. That might bring peace to some families, but it might also bring more questions and more discussions in other families. So what would you suggest if everything seems a little chaotic and my child won't do this or that, my child, if that,
there are a few. Begin with the parent. The truth is, we work on ourselves first. Because I just love you point one finger there and there are still three pointing back here. So please start here. Just leave out there alone for now and ask, what is it I'm feeling? Because if it triggers you and you get that feeling in your body, you'll be able to tell me or anybody, it feels like I've got this going on in my stomach. I worked with a lady the other day and she felt like she had concrete knots in her stomach. And then other people have it, you can feel the feeling. And with EAM, what we do is we say, where is this feeling? And let's just release that. We release that feeling and we are moving energy. And then once we've released it, we are able to then align, put in a different energy. So I would ask the parent, what would you like to feel? How would you like to be feeling? What would you like to experience? Let's allow that in. And then we put that energy in. And I've just said align. And that's where I start very often, Geeta. I ask parents to ask, the sway. Because in EAM, your body is like a pendulum. It's got the energy and it wants to be in flow. Its truth is flow. Its truth is a forward movement. So when you say, my name is, we're hoping you move forward. Move forward, you're in flow. So that's what we do when we're asking questions. If it's a negative feeling or emotion, we ask, have you got that? If we get a yes, we release it. And then we ask, can we align to something better? The big and first question, and this is where it can be very upsetting, are you aligned to parenting? That's a big question. And so many parents aren't. And I think that comes from this outdated, unhelpful belief that I'm the parent, they should do as They're told, I know better, but I'm only trying to protect them. When we realize that it's their journey and they're here to help us grow, they're helping us, so that the more we work on ourselves, heal those wounds, whether it is in a child, past lives, or this lifetime, we are just continuously raising our vibration. And that's what I say, raise yourself to raise a child.
Yes.
You know, the law of attraction is exactly that, isn't it?
Yes, it
if
is.
I'm here and my child is here, you know, that's what I'll attract back. So let's make that as high as possible.
Yeah, and that's what they can actually help us when we tune into their energy. And in all the discussions I've had with my children, the days after meditating with them and listening to them talk about love and the universe and where we come from and what a soul is. And even a 3-year-old can teach you stuff you might have forgotten.
Absolutely.
About connection, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I do think, have you read any of Wayne Dyer's Memories from Heaven? Oh, it's just beautiful. And when I was talking before about energy can come back, I think that makes sense when we know, and I've watched programs where you've got 4-year-olds who can tell you exactly what the inside of the cockpit of a Spitfire fighter plane, and it's like, where's that information come from? Because it's come in energy form and it's in him, you know. I'm not saying he was that person before. That's not what I mean. It's just energy comes that way. And what I think happens is we all know when we get here, we know it when we know it as a truth, I think. And then when we get to about 7, it started to fade, because I think a lot of adults knock it out of children.
Yeah, and schools.
And schools, the education system and parenting can't, because we want them to face reality, stop being silly. I know a lot of children who have seen, you know, spirits or can see other things or know things, and they get told it's not so.
It's not real. No.
Yeah.
No.
And it's hard. And again, that goes back to what I said about we are doing children a disservice and being disrespectful of what human potential is.
Yes. And I just had a client this morning and I meditated with her, an adult client. And when we came out of the big meditation and she was back to her childhood when she arrived here on planet, and we were just right there in that loving light of when you come to the planet, and she was crying as I asked her to come back to the room, because she said, I want to stay there. And I said, well, that's part of life, right? So it's not something you just have in a meditation. Then when you come back out, it's just this cruel reality and everything is different, right? So if we can integrate the knowledge we have in our souls and the connection we have with the universe, with the stars, with the moons, with our angels, with Mother Earth, if we feel connected as we walk around, as you say, law of attraction will just more, and then slowly it integrates into our daily lives. And it's sort of the same with conscious parenting, because when you are plugged in, when you are in tune, when you feel connected, you also don't feel so much alone when you're parent. You feel you can ask, and you can always ask your heart for advice, right? Mm-hmm. So this journey of being a parent, for many of my clients at least, also feel quite lonely.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. And that's, you know, the sad thing. And children are brilliant at being in the moment, aren't they? You know, they want to stop and explore a leaf or jump in that puddle, or they're fascinated by this flower. And I think, you know, if we could take a leaf out of their book and be like that, be more childlike.
Yes.
Because, you know, there are, what did Einstein say? Well, allegedly he said, you know, you can look at life 2 ways, as though nothing's a miracle or as though everything is. And truthfully, everything is. Yes. You can even start, you know, somebody invented a pen. There was a time that we didn't have pens or paper. We didn't have oh my goodness.
Yes, exactly.
And everything started in thought, didn't it?
I know my children sometimes say to me, Mom, you're not really an adult. And that's like the biggest compliment I can get. Like I'm still playing when I write my books and when I am teaching, I'm still playing with kids, right? That's why I love working with kids. It's so much
Yeah.
fun.
But I think we are very, I feel blessed
Yeah.
because I think we found what we love.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this and it's not work, and I'm doing that and it's not work. Yes, there are some grown-up adult things that I have to do that I don't particularly want to do.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's like we are here to have fun.
Yeah.
In the book, I do say 5 E's. If we can remember those 5 E's for our children, they are here. And I'm sure that was what this idea of coming to this planet was. It was to absolutely explore, experiment, express. There's another A, enjoy. And if as parents we can be enthusiastic and excited with them and for them, it's really, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And we want to put these children into a box of what? Conformity, normality, social rules. And then they don't reach their full potential, because I will say, this, I want to see children shine their unique brilliance.
Yes.
And they can't do that unless we as parents know how to connect with them and allow it out.
No, and also if we don't shine.
Yeah.
Like, what are you showing your child?
Yeah.
Are you showing you love your job? Are you showing you love your partner? Are you showing you love where you live? What kind of example are you to your child in the way you're living your own life?
Exactly.
We all have these intense wishes for our children. And we all love our children. We all wish the best for them. And one of the ways that they will achieve it is for us to have the same wishes and intentions themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
To show them that, okay, I'm writing all these books and I want to help millions of children, so I'm translating them to other languages. And of course, there are times where the journey is harder because there's so much you need to learn in such a short time frame. But that's just like my kid learning math. It's a lot to take on to learn math, right? So if I say, well, it's a little too tricky, I have to stop learning. I don't want to learn what it takes to go global in my company, for instance. If I give up, it's like saying, well, just give up on math or English, learning another language, because we speak Danish, right? So we keep on going, and we have this passion driving us forward.
But I think parents, this is it, when we don't look and say, well, I'm telling them they've got to learn. I'm telling them they've got to, and I'm not doing that. So it's, the contradiction is incredible. Be the role model you want them to be.
Yes.
And there's so many ways of making it fun as well, because like we've had a conversation earlier about, I once said I'm going to write a book, and it's done, and it is almost like magic, even though I know there were days I thought I'll never do this, I'll never get this sorted out. It happens, and I want my boys to know that, and the fun of it, and to have the vision, and to have a vision board, and to write things down, because there's magic in all of it.
There is.
And the reason there's magic in it is because it's energy. So on one hand, when I say magic, the other hand is saying it's just science.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? It's the science of it. I say, think it.
Even though I could talk to you for hours, and I would love the interview to go on for much longer, we need to come to an ending. And I would love for you to tell us a couple of things that you wish parents will understand, gain, learn from reading your beautiful book.
Well, I really, really want parents to look at the way they look at or think about parenting, what they think the role of parent and child is. Just look at that. Then get used to using the EAM method, because it's a fabulous way of finding out your unconscious thoughts and beliefs about parenting. to look at, I'm going to say, the spiritual side of it, because there's no coincidence at all, is there, that you are together. Look at what gift they are giving you. They're holding a mirror up and they're saying, you know, I'm giving you the opportunity to grow, so grow. A tiny bit in there is about the child and brain development, because I think that's important to understand what's going on at different ages. You are so keen on sleep and how important that is. And again, you know, we know, don't we, that the younger children need more, teenagers need it at a different time. If we could just understand, I think, a lot more about children and about why we're here and what we're here to do for them and with them, I think that's my greatest wish.
No, I love that. And where can we find the book?
You can find it on my website. I'm sure you can. Yes, you can. So that's www.parentingmagic.co.uk.
And is it on some of the?
It's on Amazon as well. Yeah, I've got a couple of links on Amazon.
And you got quite a cool ranking when it came.
Oh my goodness. No, that was fabulous. That was just really good fun, because the publishing house were telling me from early morning, and it did on the day hit the #1 spot in the hot new release for parenting.
Yes.
And I was really, well, I was surprised and very, very happy about this. The paperback sold and was #1 also in those categories. So in parenting for parents with children with disabilities, parents with children who are young adults, and in NLP. And that is a huge sort of area for me, because there's a lot to NLP, but I'm really keen on the language part of it, and how we can really influence with the right language. Your children are not listening to you most of the time because you're saying don't do things.
Yeah.
And that unconscious mind isn't hearing the don't, so you're just directing them to all the things that you would rather they didn't do. Yeah, so there's lots in there. It's just, I'm just thrilled that I got a chance to write it. And for me, I can say it's unique because there isn't another parenting book that can introduce you to the energy alignment method.
No.
And explain that and how beneficial that is to use to get you in a great place for parenting.
So the first thing to do is to get the book. And you can also find my book on Amazon, The Children's Meditations in My Heart, so you can get both. And then if we want to talk to you, if we want to have coaching sessions with you, you do them online and you do them in the UK?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, I do them online, I do one-to-ones, I do group programs. It depends on what people want best. I love working with people. I can start off, you know, doing 3 months, it ends up being 6. I can work with people for a year. Like we said, it's a journey, but it's just fabulous. And yeah, everything's on the website.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you also, because I have a lot of viewers in Denmark, so
yes,
you can also get coaching from Karen if you are in Denmark.
And we've got a Facebook group that's a really, really lovely community as well.
It's a beautiful group you have.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you so much for doing this with me, and I am sure we will do it again.
I would love to.
So then I wish you all the best, and I just want everybody to get a hold of you. Congratulations.
Yes, we'll get out there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.